Hey, welcome back, Title Tribe, and welcome back to my man George. We are back with another episode of TGIF. This Friday injury breakdown episode. Unfortunately, hate to break this news about my man Amon-Ra right here behind us. So that's my background for today. We'll get to that in just a little bit, along with all the other big injury news. Just want to remind everybody that if you want to see all of the injury updates as well, make sure you're following us on patreon.com/toilets because we're going to be posting injury updates regularly to our Patreons. We already do. So make sure patreon.com/toilets for all the weekly updates as we go along, not just on this show, all throughout the week, but because there's a lot of stuff that we put in the Patreon chat that we don't necessarily share with the rest of the group. So it's just something to think about. $1.50 level gets you in that chat. So George, my friend, I see the Magic shirt. I see the new Dolphins sticker in the background. That background just keeps getting a little bit more improved every couple weeks. So can't wait to see the finished product.
It's definitely a work in progress. My wife's gonna use her Cricut and she's gonna cut out orange. It's gonna say Miami Dolphins um, on the top of it. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to slide the desk away from the wall a little bit, get a little bit so it's closer, so it's easier to see because it's actually a very nice edit that we put on the wall there. It's really hard to see for those at home, but it's the Dolphins Stadium. It's got the Dolphins logo at the top. It's got the flag in the middle. It's really big, but it looks so tiny right now on the wall behind me. So,
well, also to be fair, the only thing we can really judge it by is your head as well. So obviously, it's going to look smaller.
Yeah, this is very, very true. Very, very true. Completely accurate.
All right, before we hop into the injury news, I do want to plug our Gilded chat. I already mentioned if you're in the Patreon, you get into that special chat within the Gilded, that channel where we have the Patreon. But we have a lot of other channels in there that's not Patreon related that you can join just by joining our free Gilded channel. So all you have to do, download the Gilded app, and then shoot one of a message that says, hey, I'd like an invite into your Gilded chat. You see our Twitter handles down there at the bottom at George Reed FF. Mine is underneath the sponsor I'm about to talk about at JustinFF_. Shoot us a DM. We will either get you an invitation or get you to somebody that can get you an invitation, and we'll get you in that Gilded chat. And speaking of rivals, since I've already pointed it out, it's joinrival.com/title tribe. It is the new evolution in sports betting, sports fantasy betting. Joinrival.com/title tribe. Your first deposit of up to $200 will be matched along with an additional $25 just for using that link. So, George, are we ready to hop right into this thing, or do you have actually, you know what? We do have other news about your Dolphins that broke today. So, Chase Claypool is now a Miami Dolphin. So I see the reaction, kind of like what I would expect, but tell the people how you feel about it.
I mean, listen, he's a big body wide receiver, had a couple decent years in not Cleveland, in Pittsburgh. Basically, we traded 2 wet socks with some toenails and a half-eaten bag of peanuts for him. So, yeah. I mean, he's going to fill the Eric Izukama role, which is the big body wide receiver. We need a big wide receiver. I don't hate it. I don't like it. It is what it is. It's just another body for us. As long as he comes in with a positive attitude and doesn't bring whatever was going on with him in Chicago and really in Pittsburgh, because this is his 3rd team in less than 12 months. So there's something going on there with him personally. As long as that doesn't come in and affect this locker room, I'm okay with it.
Well, I mean, for one, your coach, Mike Daniel, is a no BS kind of coach, really. Like, he's very straightforward, very upfront. And if he wants to act a fool, then he can act a fool at home. So, and then also winning helps a lot of those issues. Like, it's hard to act like you're the big man on campus or have an ego, push things around whenever you're in the same locker room with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So I seriously doubt that that's going to be an issue. He's probably going there knowing he's going to win. So I'm sure that'll help out a lot.
Hopefully.
But But yeah, so injury news. So we'll go over the new additions to the Fantasy Doctors. That's the fantasydoctors.com, guys. That's where we're getting the majority of our information. If we get it from somewhere else, we'll let you know. But that's the fantasydoctors.com. Make sure you subscribe to their monthly subscription. But the new news is Matthew Stafford looks like he's definitely going to play, but it is a hip pointer. It looks like it could potentially even be the same side of the hip that it looked like he injured a year or two ago. And I remember when he hurt it, he wasn't quite the same after that. So I'm a little bit concerned by this injury, even though he's playing, and it looks like they say that it's a mild level of concern. I'm more concerned about the overall injury history and how it's going to move moving forward. Do you think this affects his fantasy value or those of his receivers at all?
Not really, to be honest. I think Stafford's a very tough quarterback. I'm not overly concerned about the hip at this moment. Um, if I have him, listen, I'm starting him in super flex only right now.
Right.
He's getting Cooper Cup back, which can only help him. But as of right now, like we've seen it before. It's more of a pain tolerance thing. If you've never seen it, Matthew Stafford has the longest NFL films clip between plays in NFL history. He gets absolutely floored, goes to the sideline, is done for the game. For some reason, the other team calls a timeout. He marches back in, throws a game-winning touchdown. Like, it was ridiculous.
Broken collarbone.
So
threw a touchdown with that arm.
Yeah. So if we're questioning a pain tolerance or toughness, excuse me, I'm not questioning Matt Stafford's toughness and pain tolerance. So I'm not overly concerned now.
Yeah, no, I'm not at all concerned about him playing through it. There's no doubt about it. You could tell he was in a lot of pain against the Colts this weekend when it happened,
Yep.
and when he was, like, you just knew, well, he's not sitting out. He's going to come in and still win this damn game, and sure enough, he did.
Yep.
Kenny Pickett, left bone bruise and muscle strain, might play, but shouldn't play, so avoid him according to the fantasy doctors. So, honestly,
and I don't need to be a fantasy doctor to tell you to avoid playing Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, there you go. Justin Herbert's on bye, so we'll touch on that one next week if it's still an issue. Same with Geno Smith and the human predator. But the only other one on here of note, really, to maybe, well, I guess there's two of them here, Jimmy G and Derek Carr. So do you have any updated news on either of those guys?
So most concussions now, ever since the way that they were handled last year with Tua and being able to come back in and play the very next week, and then he got a concussion. Like, everybody I've seen get a concussion so far has missed the next game. So I'm not expecting Jimmy Garoppolo to play much anyway. It's one of those things where even if he does play, like, again, we got a couple teams on bye, but outside of Superflex leagues, you're probably not starting him anyway. Even if it is a revenge game for Devontae Adams, you're still not going to trust Jimmy Garoppolo in a 12-team league. And as far as Derek Carr, listen, I think he's going to play, and do that with what you may. With what you may. He's got that right AC sprain. He's practiced all week with it. I expect him to play.
Yeah, the doctors here say that Carr really should not have played in week 4, but he
I
did.
agree with them.
And he should be mildly better for week 5, which, you would think he would be. And then as far as Jimmy Garoppolo, all it says here is he should clear protocol for week 5, but they're still only giving him a 50% chance because you never know with a concussion. So, yeah, either way, I think I'm avoiding both of these guys unless I absolutely have to in a super flex. But my biggest concern there is Devontae Adams. Like you said, this is his revenge game, man. Let's get him the ball somehow, some way. Let's see. The only new one for the running backs to speak of is Javonte Williams, hip flexor. It says compensation injury. I'm not really sure what they mean by that. A compensation injury. So he was overcompensating for his previous injuries.
Yep.
That could have possibly led to a hip flexor.
Which happens all the time when you got guys coming back from those major type of injuries.
Right. I didn't think it was somebody was compensating him to act like he was hurt, but
I mean, listen, in this day in the NFL, who knows? They might be.
They say he's likely out. The fantasy doctor said he's likely out 1 to 3 weeks. They're giving him a 25% chance, but only a moderate level of concern on the injury. So meaning that, it's a hip flexor. Once he is back, he should be fine. The guys that are 100% in and ready to roll, Breece Hall. And not only that, but they said Robert Saleh said that he's no longer on a snap count. They're ready for him to take flight. Wheels are up, and he's going to be the workhorse. So, guys, start Breece Hall everywhere. I don't care who the opponent is. Start him everywhere. Ramondre Stevenson is in. Damian Pierce is in. Kyron Williams and Aaron Jones are in. Justice Hill is in. And then for Justice Hill, though, it does say turf toe. He's likely ineffective. But he was kind of mostly ineffective anyway. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else that really pops up on any of those other guys that are definitely in. That's of level of concern. But I do want to mention Jonathan Taylor, our boy Jonathan Taylor. He is back. It says that he could return week 5 with an 80-20 split with Moss. So they're saying definitely start him, because if he's getting 80% of the carries and a run-heavy offense, it only makes sense that you would start Jonathan Taylor, right?
I don't think he's going to get 80% of the carries. I think they're going to work him back into that offense. I think 50-50 is about right, unless he goes out and he looks like the Jonathan Taylor that we know. I don't see the 80-20 split day one, but I can definitely see him eventually getting to that. I just don't think it's going to be on day one.
So this is very possibly me looking at it with Colts colored glasses here, but I mean, it's Jonathan Taylor. Like if he's playing, I have to play him. Like just especially knowing that he's angry right now. He's pissed off at Jim Irsay. He's gonna run like he's pissed off at every guy that gets in front of him, like it's Jim Irsay, like the water boy. He's gonna picture Jim Irsay on the other side of the ball, and he wants to kill him. So I've got a pretty strong feeling that he's gonna have some angry runs that we're gonna enjoy watching on Sunday. So I don't want to miss out on that personally. Saquon Barkley, they're still giving him 50-50 right now. It's a right high ankle sprain, high re-injury risk. They're saying sell him, and then likely be back by week 6. Even though they're giving him 50-50 this week, they're saying likely week 6.
I think he plays. It's Miami. They're so bad against running backs. I think he plays.
I mean, they don't really stand much of a chance with or without him, to be honest with you, against Miami. I'm kind of leaning the other way. Like take the L here and give him another week and save him for a week you might be able to win. NFL teams don't look at it that way, though.
No, it's not just that. Miami is so bad against the run. Like their defense is damn near bottom of the league right now. It's that bad. Like I would start Saquon Barkley if I got him, and I am in a few leagues, and I'm not even really concerned.
Yeah. This says that Jahmyr Gibbs has a new hamstring strain that happened late in the week, so be careful. They're giving him 50-50, but if this happened late in the week, then I've got to believe that they're going to sit him this week, right? You would imagine. I mean, obviously it depends on how severe it is, but you don't want to risk a hamstring to your young rookie running back that you spent a high draft pick on.
I mean, it doesn't matter. They're not using him anyway.
That's fair. Yeah, there's obviously something they don't like about him.
I mean, listen, they're really not using him anyway. It just depends on. It says late strain late in week. Be careful. To be honest, it just really, how bad is the strain, right? Like, yeah. I don't like players getting injured late in the week. Like that's not good. But at the same time, like you're hitting bye weeks. You're talking the abomination that is the running back position where everybody is basically down.
Yeah.
And you spent high draft capital on Jahmyr Gibbs. and we've seen how explosive he can be when given the opportunities. Like, it's going to be really difficult to sit him, especially if you don't have a competent replacement level player. So, I mean, I'm going to roll him out there if he plays.
Yeah. Austin Eckler is on bye this week. So this is important to note because last week the fantasy doctors said that there is a decent chance that he could have played last week, but they would likely sit him because it was the week before their bye, and that would give them the extra week for him to rest up. So it sounded like last week he was sitting for precautionary reasons. Now he's going to be healthy coming out of the bye week, so you should be ready to fire him back up in week 6. Miles Sanders, not only does it say here that the fantasy doctors are trying to avoid Miles Sanders, they're even trying to sell him. They said that he re-injured his groin and that this is going to linger. So if you have Miles Sanders, you need to try to dish him off as soon as you can, according to the fantasy doctors.
I've been trying to sell him in the leagues I've got him in with no luck at all.
Let's see. This says Keaton Mitchell, and this isn't really a huge surprise for those of you that have been listening all week. But returning from IR could lead the backfield. Go get him. So he's a talented back that was on IR returning. I mean, there's just nobody there in Baltimore to speak of. Like Gus Edwards is one of those guys that's a really good backup running back, but he's not a great starting running back. So like he doesn't fill that role, so he does have a real opportunity here. So I guess go pick up Keaton Mitchell wherever you can. But even still, like, I'm so worried about Baltimore running backs all the time. Like, I don't know. Let's see.
I like Gus Edwards. I think that you have to know what you're getting with Gus Edwards, right? Like, I think he's a starting level quarterback who has a very, very safe floor, but a very low ceiling. So if you're looking for a running back to go out and get you anywhere between 8 to 12 points, that's Gus Edwards. He's a starting running back. He's going to get the touches. The thing you hope is he falls in the end zone. If he falls in the end zone, you're going to have a great week. If he doesn't fall in the end zone, you're going to have a very safe floor because he's going to get the touches. So, but don't expect, a big boom week from him. That's probably not going to happen.
Right. All right, so the new wide receivers on this list, you've got Mike Evans, who is on bye this week, but it does say that if it's a grade 1 hamstring, he should be back by week 6 after the bye. But if it's a grade 2 or more, then you might think more like week 9 to 10. So there's that. Let's see, Devontae Adams, AC sprain and dislocation. Week 5 is possible, pain and dip in performance. So it's a pain tolerance thing with Devontae Adams. I think he plays. It's the Packers. He's going to find a way to get out there, and if he's out there, you got to start him. T. Higgins fractured rib. Says possibly 2 to 6 weeks, but he could play week 5. But if he does play, sit him. So, and they say that this is a severe level of concern. So T. Higgins already had the rib injury, and it looks like it didn't do him any favors playing this last week. So they're saying that this could be a lingering issue for 2 to 6 weeks. T. Higgins and that offense, unfortunately, has already been playing like crap. There's been more rumors of a trade of T. Higgins, but he can't be traded if he can't pass a physical or if he's injured. So I doubt that they put him on the injury report as far as out, just because of that reason, if they're really seeking to trade him. But they also probably aren't going to want to utilize him a heck of a lot either. So definitely avoid T. Higgins for the meantime. And then the guy that's on my backdrop here, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, here's the thing about the fantasy doctors that I loved. I looked at this morning. I didn't even realize that Amon-Ra had that serious of an injury. And this morning I looked and it said likely wants to play but won't under their details. And I was like, well, why wouldn't he play? And then a little bit later, I got a report that on Sleeper just before we came on here that said that he's doubtful for this week. I don't think that they've even officially announced him as out yet, but the fantasy doctors have him listed as out. So the fantasy doctors are already saying, homie ain't playing. I don't care what the notifications are. So maybe they did announce it, but I haven't seen or heard it yet.
They have insider information.
Exactly. And this is going to be posting at like 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. I think 6:30, something like that. So So there is a chance that he will be announced as out by the time this drops. But if it doesn't, if you hear it from the fantasy doctors, you can count on it. Let's see. Other guys that are on bye this week: Amari Cooper, DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. So we're not going to talk about any of those guys. We'll talk about them a little bit more next week. Let's see. Definitely in. Actually, let's not talk about definitely in yet. We've got one more that does not say definitely in or not. He's 50-50. Mild PCL sprain, likely to return week 5 as a wide receiver 3 or flex, and that is Zay Jones. Zay Jones looked pretty good in that first week, and then in week 2 he had 6 targets and didn't get a single catch, and I believe that's the game he got hurt in later on in the game. So Zay Jones, what does that do for the other wide receivers in Jacksonville when he comes back?
I don't know. Like, it's weird because you would think Calvin Ridley would still be dominating the targets there. But if you look at his target share, it's gone down every week since week 1. So Trevor Lawrence has actually been spreading the ball around a lot more. I think it's going to be one of those things where it helps the Jaguars in the NFL, but it doesn't, like, it subtracts from all the wide receiver options on the team, and it helps Trevor Lawrence. So it's one of those things where I don't think it helps anybody really other than Trevor Lawrence. And I think everybody else, it takes a little bit away from them.
Yeah, that's fair. And Trevor Lawrence needs some help. He's been underperforming for his draft position, so he definitely needs his help. So I really wish that these NFL teams would have a little bit more respect for our fantasy leagues. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. Let's see. Tight ends. We've got a couple on bye here. Donald Parham, David Njoku. I'm not really too worried about talking about them. And honestly, there's no real big names on the injury report other than Travis Kelce, but that's just because it's still his knee. But they say he's even closer to 100% now. He's definitely playing, and you're definitely starting him. So no real news there. So on the tight end front, anything there that you want to touch up on?
So I missed last week's show because I was in Georgia. Did you guys talk a little bit about Pat Freiermuth?
I don't really know if we did or not, but he has a grade 1 to a grade 1.5 hamstring strain. I didn't even know they had 1.5s. I'm guessing that that's somewhere between 1 and 2, but
it's not quite. It's not a 1. It's not quite a 2. It's a little more than 1. Not quite 2. We'll name it 1.5.
Not so much here or here, but right in here.
Mm-hmm.
What's that movie?
I don't know.
You don't know? David Spade, Chris Farley.
Oh, which one? They were in a lot of movies.
That's going to leave a mark. All right, never mind.
Dude, I'm one of those guys where I will watch 1,000 movies and not remember lines from the movies at all. Like that,
I want to see if people in the comments will get it, and then I'll comment back and let you know if you got it. So
yeah, I'm sorry. Like if me and you were on a game show, and I had to recall movie lines from movies to save your life, like, I'm gonna be honest. I hope your life insurance is up to date because Lori's getting a check.
Let's see. Currently on short-term IR. Any big news here? We forgot to mention Cooper Kupp. He wasn't listed up above. He's listed under this one. He still technically has not been officially back yet. He's still on the 21-day to return list. They did take him off of short-term IR in the fact that they started that 21-day frame where they get to decide if he's ready to come back or not. But from all accounts, it sounds like he's had now 3 straight days in a row of full go with no setbacks. So sounds like he's on track to go for week 5. Which
Sean McVay even said, like, they tried to, quote, limit him in practice, and that there was no limiting him, that he was full go. So I'm extremely happy because in a couple of leagues where I'm not doing too hot, I am getting Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp back to bolster my lineups. So personally, I'm excited about that. And also I'm excited to see, very good players coming back to the NFL so we can watch them do what they
Mm-hmm.
do.
For sure.
Injuries suck. This is not one of my favorite shows to do because we're literally talking about hurt people all the time and
Right.
how it's going to affect them and affect our teams. But like, it's important information, but it's really not something we enjoy doing. But it's unfortunately it's part of the business we're in.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you said, then we get this nice little bump. We get two of
Yep.
my favorite players in the league, Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp. Two of everybody's favorite players. And like, who doesn't like Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp, right? Like, I mean,
Jim
I should
Irsay.
be well, yeah, but I should be a jaded fan. But I'm more jaded at Irsay than I am Jonathan Taylor. Like, give the
Yep.
man his money. Let's go. All right, so I believe that's it, man. There's really nothing big after that. Luckily, last week was a little slow on the new injury news. A little bit more this week, but a lot of it, like I said, a lot of them are on bye. So I think a lot of it is just precautionary.
Yeah.
Hopefully they clear out for next week, and then hopefully next week's show isn't all that busy either. So all in all, I'd say that's just about it. Let me go ahead and make sure I hit all the house cleaning stuff. So, or housekeeping stuff. Hit the like and subscribe. Hit that ring the bell notification. That way you can see and hear all of our shows that come out all week long. We've got, I believe it's like 12 different shows coming out on the weekly. TrophySmack.com/title tribe to go pick up your championship rings for your leagues. Let's see. Toilets2titles.com, at Rival Fantasy, at Toilets2Titles. George, you have anything to exit us with?
Nah, I just want to say everybody tune in to Title Time this Sunday, 10:30 on your here on our Sleeper Network on YouTube. We'll be going over all your start sit questions. If any other injuries, if we get more information between now and then, we'll let you know then. But tune in to Title Time. We'll help you set your lineups, get your rosters ready to go for this weekend. And don't forget that there is a game at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. Jaguars versus the Bills in London.
Yeah, so Jaguars, another home game in England. I don't
know.
No,
this is a Bills home game.
Yeah, but
on paper, it's a Bills home game.
Yeah, that stadium is going to be filled with Jaguars fans because they play they play as many home games or as many games in England as they do in Jacksonville. But and you guys have a special guest coming on Title Time this week, right?
Yes, Rich set it up so we have a guest. It's a young lady. I forget her name.
Is Wendy. I know her name is Wendy.
Wendy, that's right.
Yeah, it's Wendy, and she is in my draft night out league, and I play against her this week. So I'm going to make sure I come on this week, and I'm going to be dropping a start-sit question in our private chat against her without her knowing so that we can get her honest opinion. And I'm going to start.
What you can do is text it to me, and I'll do just like I did, not last week because I wasn't here last week, but the week before. I'll say, hey, I've got a listener who's texted me a question, and we'll give the question that way. Because she can see the private chat.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. It's Wendy Early. That's at Wendy Early with it's WENDI. So she also helps run the Battle of the Sexes League that Rich is in. That's how he was able to get her as a guest. So, it should be a lot of fun. It'll be good to have a guest on, and then you three buffoons, and then myself. So, so it should be a lot of fun. All right, guys.
How come I gotta be a buffoon?
That's it for that's your own fault. It's it for TGIF, y'all. Have a great night. Enjoy your week 5.